in the very middle of the Earth, there was a terrifying, isolated island. And right in the center of this isolated island stood one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. Strangely, there was no border around the prison. There were no proper arrangements to keep the prisoners locked in. And even if any prisoner managed to escape from there was no one to stop them. But even then, no prisoner has ever been able to escape from this prison. Because every place around this prison is filled with deadly mines, where stepping even once by mistake guarantees death. So, after coming on vacation, a group of friends gets trapped in such a terrifying prison. Later, they plan to escape from this deadly prison. But when every step of the prison is filled with traps of death, is escaping really that easy? So what happened to them afterward? Were they really able to escape from such a terrifying prison? That is what we will see in today's movie story. So, let's dive into the story of a daring prison escape. The story begins with a huge prison, which was completely different from all other prisons. Because the place where this prison was located was extremely isolated and completely deserted. There were no people there except for the prisoners and a few guards to watch over them. But the strangest thing was that the prison had no walls. It wasn't even marked by any kind of border. Even if a prisoner tried to escape from here, the guards wouldn't say anything to them, because the entire area outside is filled with countless landmines. The landmines are buried under the ground in such a way that even if someone looks very carefully, they wouldn't be able to notice them. So whenever any prisoner tries to escape from the prison and steps out of that area, the landmines beneath their feet explode instantly. As a result, the prisoner dies immediately. And this is the main reason why no prisoner dares to escape from here. Now we see an incident from a few days earlier. There was a guy named Stu who was about to get married soon and start a new life. For this reason, he came to South America with some of his friends to enjoy his bachelor party. There, he and his friends had a lot of fun. After finishing the party, the next morning, while they were all waiting at the airport for their flight, Stu noticed that his friend named Ryan was trying to hide something in his pocket, which was actually a type of drugs. Somehow, he managed to keep the drugs with him through all the airport security areas. Seeing this, all of Stu's friends became very nervous and started worrying that if they got caught, it would be a big problem. At that moment, another friend of Stu named Greg came out of the washroom holding his stomach. It was clear from his condition that he was feeling very sick. But before anyone could understand anything, he suddenly collapsed on the ground and a kind of liquid started coming out of his mouth. Just then, security guards arrived there. They had a trained dog with them that could identify drugs. When the dog came near them, it started reacting strongly. This made the security guards suspicious of them, so they immediately took them into an interrogation room. There, they revealed that Greg had secretly swallowed some balloons filled with drugs to smuggle them. But for some reason, those burst inside his stomach, and the poison spread throughout his body. Hearing this, Stu and his friends were completely shocked because they had no idea about it. But they couldn't do anything, because even if they said they didn't know anything, no one would believe them. After some time, the police arrived there and immediately arrested them. During the search, they also found drugs on Ryan. As a result, the police assumed that they were smugglers trying to transport drugs from one country to another. Even though they all tried to explain that they were not smugglers, the police didn't listen to them. They were arrested on the spot and taken to an island under military control. They didn't want to go there at all, but the police beat them and forcibly took them along. First, they were taken by boat to a prison. After reaching there, Stu noticed that some dead bodies were being carried inside a bag. Seeing this made him extremely nervous. He couldn't understand what was actually happening there. After that, they set off from there to go to the main place where they would actually be kept. They were all being taken in a truck. After traveling quite a long distance, they finally reached their destination. This was the same huge prison shown at the beginning of the movie, surrounded by deadly traps. They all slowly started moving forward. Along with Stu and his group, his father-in-law was also there, whose name was John. Seeing the environment, John was quite surprised. He wondered why there were no walls around the prison and whether the guards weren't afraid that any prisoner might escape. He started thinking that escaping from here would actually be very easy. Not only John, but everyone there was thinking the same thing. But just then, they saw a prisoner running very fast, trying to escape. Seeing this, one guard was about to shoot him, but another guard stopped him. Meanwhile, Stu and his friends were watching everything from a distance. As the prisoner kept running and got quite far, suddenly one of his feet stepped on a landmine. Instantly, a huge explosion occurred, and the prisoner died on the spot. Seeing this, Stu and his friends became very scared. They realized that there were mines all around the area, and whenever someone tried to escape, the mines would explode and kill them. That's why there were no walls around the prison. After seeing all this, John understood that they needed to find a way to get out of this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, they had no idea where the deadly traps were. John's son, Kai, was also there. So John and Kai decided that they would talk to the guards and ask for special help as British citizens. On the other hand, Greg was already sick because of the explosion in his stomach, and now he was bleeding, so he urgently needed medical attention. Greg told 2 of his friends to go and find a doctor, and they immediately went out to look for one. Meanwhile, John and his son Kai went to the office room to talk to a guard. There, they told the guard that they wanted to meet the warden. The guard then asked them to go into the office room. When they entered, they were surprised because such a large office had no one except a single guard. Then the guard pressed a button and a door to another room opened. John and Kai went inside and saw a computer placed on a desk. From there, a man's voice was coming, and on a video call, a person was sitting and talking to them. The man on the video call was actually the prison warden, the person they wanted to meet. The warden told them that since they were all British citizens, he couldn't help them in this matter because they were not citizens of this country. He advised them to seek help from the High Court and also said that until the court gives its verdict, they would have to remain imprisoned there. John then asked the warden how long they might have to stay there. The warden replied, "Not very long, around 5 to 6 years." Hearing this, it felt like the sky had fallen on John and Kai's heads. Because if it takes 5 to 6 years for a verdict, would they have to stay here all that time? John became very angry and started arguing with the warden, but suddenly the computer connection got cut off. This made John even more frustrated. However, they clearly understood that getting out of this prison would not be easy. Meanwhile, after searching a lot, Stu and his friends managed to find a doctor. But in this prison, all the local people, including doctors, guards, and police officers, spoke their own language, so they didn't really understand English. Only one person, Johnny, could understand English, which is why he was able to talk to the warden earlier. Stu tried in many ways to explain to the doctor how they got trapped there, and that they were not criminals. But because of the language barrier, the doctor couldn't understand anything. Still, they tried to explain through gestures. However, the doctor eventually became very irritated. He then pulled out a gun and started threatening them. This made everyone extremely scared. They raised their hands and stood still without saying anything. The doctor then pulled aside a curtain behind them. They saw that inside a bathtub, the doctor had tied a man and kept him submerged in ice water. Seeing this, they became even more terrified and started shouting for help. But just then, one of them hit the doctor on the head with a chair. Immediately, the doctor fell unconscious. They had already thought this doctor was a psycho. Seeing this, the man whom the doctor had tied up asked them to help untie him. Stu and his friends didn't really understand what was happening, but they cut the ropes and freed him. However, this man behaved like a madman. It seemed like there was something wrong with his mind. He picked up the doctor's gun lying on the floor and ran outside without wearing any clothes. Outside, 2 nurses in uniform arrived with a stretcher. They put Greg on the stretcher and took him away. His friends thought he was being taken for treatment. Meanwhile, John and his group went to meet the prison manager, who had summoned them. The place was highly secured and the manager's name was Selma. She welcomed everyone and politely asked them to sit at the dining area. Then she addressed them, saying she had heard that Greg was a millionaire, but had been caught smuggling, and they were all stuck there because of him. Selma then said that if they gave her $200,000, she could safely release them from the prison. If they didn't pay, there was no telling how long they would have to stay there. Seeing this, they immediately agreed because no one wanted to stay in such a terrifying prison. Everyone in this prison was very strange, so they wanted to leave as soon as possible. At that moment, they had no money, so they asked Selma for time. But just by looking at their faces, Selma realized that they weren't happy with the offer. She then told a guard to escort them outside. As they went out, a stranger handed them a letter. They opened it and found it was from the British Embassy. The letter informed them that the embassy would investigate this situation. And even if it took 100 years to complete the investigation, they would keep this matter under close attention. When they read the first line of the letter, everyone was very happy. But by the time they reached the last line, they realized what the investigation was really going to be like. It seemed that the letter had been sent just as a formality, and it didn't appear that anyone would take it seriously. John, however, tried to give everyone hope. He said at least the embassy knew about their situation and had promised an investigation. And maybe the 100 years mentioned was just an exaggeration. He believed that someone, sooner or later, would get them out of there. At that moment, an unknown prisoner told them that the embassy had already arranged a cell for them. Shortly afterward, they were taken to that cell. There, they saw a gangster-type man named Banco. There was also a girl there and a teenage prisoner. Before they could understand anything, the gangster told them that either Stu or his wife had to give him 2 kidneys. A doctor would arrange everything for them. Then he pointed to a doctor in the room. Hearing this, they were shocked. They wondered why they would have to give kidneys while they were supposed to remain imprisoned. Gradually, the doctor began walking toward them. They immediately recognized him. It was the same doctor they had gone to for Greg's treatment earlier, the one they had attacked to escape. Seeing him now, they became even more terrified. The doctor pointed at one of the boys and said, "This boy attacked me, and because of that, I lost a kidney." Before anyone could react, Banco shot the boy in the head and killed him. Then he demanded the boy's kidney as compensation. Seeing this, everyone became extremely frightened and started crying, because they had also attacked the doctor a short while ago. The dead boy was placed on a bed. Banco then told the prisoner girl to remove the kidney from the boy's body. He even explained an easy way to do it. He told her she had to locate exactly where the kidney was, put her hand in the incision, and carefully extract it. Following his instructions, the girl slowly removed the first kidney and placed it in a designated spot. She was visibly terrified because it was her first time doing such a thing. But when she tried to remove the second kidney, she accidentally dropped it. Banco became furious and ordered the others to prepare for another kidney. Then he told everyone to decide who would give him their kidney. No one responded. Everyone stood silently. Then Banco held out several sticks in front of them and told them to each pick one. After they all picked, he announced that whoever's stick was the shortest would have to give him a kidney. So it is seen that the smallest stick was in John's hand. According to the rules, John now had to give his kidney. But the doctor refused to take John's kidney because he was too old. The next smallest stick was in the hands of their friend named Hugo, so it was decided that another kidney would be taken from Hugo. Hugo became extremely frightened, but there was nothing he could do. Following the instructions, he took off his clothes and sat inside a bathtub filled with ice. Seeing this, Kai felt very sorry for Hugo. He then broke his own stick to make it shorter and said that his stick was the smallest, so according to the rules, his kidney should be taken instead. He then helped Hugo out of the tub and sat there himself. But his father John could not accept this at all. He tried to stop him, but Bank immediately pointed a gun at his head. At that moment, someone entered the room and informed Banco that his sister Salma was calling him. Banco left immediately, and for that day, Kai was spared. As soon as Banco left the room, the prisoner girl started crying. She said her name was Clem. She cried out, saying she never imagined that her vacation would turn into life as a prisoner, and that she would have to remove someone's kidney with her own hands. While she was saying all this, the doctor arrived and overheard her. He grabbed her by the hair and forcefully dragged her inside. Seeing this, Stu and his friends felt very helpless, but they couldn't do anything. After some time, they noticed that Kai had a ring. During the organ extraction, he had somehow taken it off someone's hand and hidden it. Now was their only valuable possession. Late at night, Stu's friend Ryan secretly woke him up and took him outside. They suspected that they were not arrested only because of Greg's smuggling. Someone else must be involved. If only Greg was guilty, then why did the police arrest all of them? So they decided to find out who else was involved and uncover the truth. They secretly went to an office and saw that Clem was there. She had been assigned to take care of their friend Greg. They asked Clem to somehow arrange a meeting with Greg. Clem agreed immediately and warned them to stay calm and make sure the guards didn't see them. She slowly took them inside. But when they saw Greg, they couldn't stay calm because one of their friends had already died because of him. He was shot and his kidney was taken. Greg told them to calm down. After they settled a bit, Greg said, "We have to get out of here no matter what. I didn't do this on purpose. I didn't know the consequences would be this terrible. But I know a way to escape. I just need a phone to contact my boss outside. If I can reach him, he will get us out of here. So somehow, arrange a phone for me." Phone? Stu and Ryan believed what he said and left, thinking about how they could manage to get a phone. Meanwhile, Stu's other friends were mainly worried about arranging food. Since they had no money at all, they couldn't eat properly there. This prison was completely different from others. Without money, you couldn't even get food. At that point, Hugo noticed a little girl inside the prison who was lending money. Seeing this, he asked her for a loan of $100. But the girl told him that since they had agreed to give Selma $200,000, no one in the prison would help them. Hearing this, they all became very hopeless and realized they might have to starve to death. Suddenly, they saw a man giving a chicken to an old woman and taking money from her. This gave them a bit of hope. They all went to the old man, and John offered him some specially designed interest money so that he would give them some chicken to eat. Fortunately, the man agreed. He gave the chicken to John and took money from him. On the other hand, Stu and Ryan were trying to find the Undertaker because they wanted him to do some work for them. Finally, they found him. He was responsible for burning or burying prisoners' bodies. They asked him to do two things: burn their dead friend's body and arrange a phone call for them. In exchange, they offered him the ring they had found when they first arrived. The Undertaker examined the ring and realized it was very valuable, so he agreed. But he said he could only do one job, so they had to choose. Since Stu and Ryan's first priority was escaping the prison, they chose the phone. The Undertaker took the ring and gave them an old phone. Stu immediately took the phone to Greg, and they hid in the prison washroom. Greg called his boss and begged him to get them out of there. The boss agreed, but first asked why they were in this situation. Greg immediately cut the call and told Stu not to tell the real story, or the boss would get angry. He then convinced Stu to take all the blame and say the drugs were his. He promised that if he got out, he would free everyone. Stu listened quietly and agreed. Greg then called his boss again and blamed Stu for everything. He made Stu talk to his boss, but instead, Stu told the truth. He said that Greg was responsible, that Greg had secretly tried to smuggle drugs, and when security found out, everyone got arrested. Greg tried to stop him, but Stu ignored him and told everything. He had already understood Greg's real plan, that Greg might escape alone by blaming others. When Greg tried to stop him again, Stu accidentally hit him very hard. At first, he didn't realize how strong the hit was. He kept sitting on Greg while talking to the boss. After the call ended, he tried to wake Greg, but got no response. No matter how much he called him, Greg didn't respond. Eventually, Stu realized Greg had stopped breathing. Greg was dead. Stu panicked. He didn't know what to do or where to hide the body. Just then, someone knocked on the washroom door. Out of fear, he put Greg's body inside the commode and left. He ran back to his cell and broke part of the wall to hide the phone. Meanwhile, the chicken that John had exchanged earlier got out. After hiding the phone, when Stu came outside, he saw a feather falling from above. Looking up, he saw a man holding the chicken. The man said he had seen everything that Stu did in the washroom. Stu immediately went to him and requested him not to tell anyone. In return, the man asked for a favor. Stu agreed, and the man returned the chicken. That night, they all fried the chicken and ate together. Then Stu suggested that there was a factory on the island, and they should work there to earn money, otherwise they would starve to death. Stu's friends all agreed with his idea. The next morning, they all went to the factory to work. However, Hugo was missing. He had been invited to Salma's office. Salma had actually called Hugo for a very shocking task. She wanted him to kill her own brother, Banco. She gave Hugo a mine and told him to secretly place it under the floor of Banco's room. Hugo agreed, but on one condition: he had to be set free. Salma agreed, but said she would only free him, not his friends. The next day, Salma took Hugo to meet her boss. The boss had invited the girl named Clem because she was a medical genius. He treated her with great respect. When Hugo and Clem got a chance to talk alone, Hugo told her everything about Salma's plan and suggested they use this opportunity to escape together. Clem understood the situation well. Later, the boss invited them for lunch. He was very happy to meet such a talented medical expert. However, Clem didn't talk much with the boss and instead asked to speak with Salma privately. Outside, she threatened Salma, saying she knew everything about her plan and would reveal it to the boss if she wasn't freed. Hearing this, Salma agreed to free her as well, but on one condition. Clem had to complete the boss's liver transplant surgery. Clem agreed. Meanwhile, things were not as easy as they thought. Stu helped the same man, the one he had dealt with over the chicken, reach the underground area of the factory. There was a tunnel that led directly to the sea, but when he reached the gate, he saw it was heavily guarded. He also noticed human body parts lying around, as if some deadly creatures had attacked them. Terrified, he returned to the factory and tried to exit through the main gate. At that moment, Stu went to the washroom holding his stomach. There, he took out some drug packets from inside his body. When his friends knocked on the door, he quickly flushed them away and came out. But when they asked what happened, the commode overflowed and the drugs came out with the water, revealing that Stu himself was involved in drug smuggling. At the same time, Salma and her brother were enjoying an event on a hill. Salma gave Hugo a signal. Hugo secretly placed the mine in Banco's room and left. Later, he went to another room and started drinking to relax. Suddenly, one of Banco's friends appeared behind him. Startled, Hugo dropped the bottle. At that moment, an alarm device started making noise. Hearing it, the man revealed himself as an undercover agent who had come to investigate Banco and Salma's crimes. Hugo panicked and tried to escape, but the agent caught him. Just then, the mine exploded. Banco rushed in and saw his friend, the undercover agent, torn apart. Meanwhile, guards kept shooting into the room on Salma's orders, unaware that no one was inside. From a distant rooftop, the same man whom Stu had helped earlier was observing everything. Meanwhile, John was beating Stu badly after learning he was also involved in drugs and had hidden it while planning to marry his daughter. Ryan tried to stop him, but during the struggle, John got hit on the head and fell down. Everyone thought he was dead, but he suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, Banco became furious over his friend's death. He questioned Hugo's friends and learned that Salma had taken Hugo. He realized Salma's plan, to kill him, and understood she was behind everything. Sensing danger, Salma tried to escape, and Banco chased her with a gun. Both started shooting at each other. Guards from the tower came down. Meanwhile, the man with Stu was watching everything carefully. Seeing the guards leave, he entered the guard room and called the control room, reporting a major conflict between Banco and Salma. Suddenly, all the monitors went off. When the controller tried to fix it, he got electrocuted and lost consciousness. Taking advantage of this, prisoners started trying to escape. But just as they were about to run, the controller regained consciousness and pressed the emergency button. As Stu ran ahead toward the minefield, Ryan stopped him after hearing an explosion nearby. Everyone froze, realizing that even a slight movement could trigger the mines. But John ignored the danger, thinking this was their only chance to escape. Despite his son Kai's warning, he moved forward and instantly a mine exploded, blowing his body apart. At that moment, Stu shouted for someone to throw him the phone, which was near Kai. Stu and Ryan were standing in a safe zone, just outside the minefield. So they tell Kai that if he can somehow get the phone to them, they will definitely find a way to get him out of there. Trusting his friends, Kai picks up the phone from the ground and throws it towards Stu. But the phone ends up in the hands of that man, the same one who had earlier called the control room and created an opportunity for the prisoners to escape. This man seemed somewhat religious, and as soon as he got the phone, he started looking for a way to escape. Stu and Ryan began following him, trying to go along with him. But even though Kai called out to them many times, they didn't look back even once. They didn't help him. They betrayed him. On one side, he was dealing with the pain of his father's death, and on the other, the betrayal of his closest friends. He couldn't accept any of it. Meanwhile, a bodyguard takes a young boy for a liver transplant, and the surgery is supposed to be performed by Clem. At that moment, someone throws a bomb-like object into the room. Everyone thinks it's about to explode, so some of them run out of the room. In reality, it was the boy's sister who did this to save him. As the boy tries to escape, a fight breaks out between him, the bodyguard, and the doctor. Just when he manages to fight them off and tries to flee, Salma blocks his path. But right then, Clem appears behind him and injects something into his neck, causing him to collapse unconscious. Salma is very pleased with Clem and orders the bodyguard to take the boy safely to her room. But as soon as they leave, two kids suddenly attack the bodyguard with knives. Clem rushes over and grabs the bodyguard's hand. One of the attacking girls signals Clem to leave immediately. Clem then takes a key from the bodyguard's pocket and quickly escapes. It turns out Clem had already made a deal with those kids. On the other side, Stu, Ryan, and several others try to escape along with that man. On their way, they find the dead body of the Undertaker, the same person who had given them the phone in exchange for the ring. They quickly search his body, looking for the ring, and soon they find it. Meanwhile, Clem uses the key to enter a room where another girl is being held captive. She frees the girl, whose name is Gemma. Gemma is very grateful and tells Clem that she can help her escape the island, but strangely, as Gemma walks out of the room, she locks Clem inside and leaves. Clem is shocked and can't understand why she did that. She starts screaming for help. At that moment, Salma arrives and unlocks the door, telling Clem that it's time for the surgery. They go to the doctor's room but are shocked to find the doctor dead in the bathtub. As Clem checks his pulse, Gemma suddenly attacks her. Salma tries to stop her, and a fight breaks out between them. During the struggle, a gun falls to the ground, and Clem quickly grabs it, forcing both of them to stop fighting. Gemma keeps glancing at a freezer. When Clem asks about it, she reveals that behind it is a secret tunnel leading directly to the sea. Hearing this, Clem decides to escape through the tunnel with Gemma. Salma also wants to escape, so the three of them team up and enter the tunnel together. After going some distance, they hear the terrifying roar of a giant gorilla. Terrified, they run as fast as they can. Suddenly, Salma finds a dead body. It's her boss. They realize he must have tried to escape too, but was killed by the creature. They continue toward the tunnel exit and eventually reach a door with 3 buttons. When all 3 press them together, the door opens and they finally see the light of freedom. But their hope is crushed instantly. Bank, Salma's brother, is already waiting there. As soon as he sees Salma, he shoots and kills her. He then enters the tunnel, picks up his sister's dead body, and leaves without saying anything to Clem or Gemma, because he knows they won't be able to escape anyway. After he leaves, Clem quickly climbs out and escapes, but before Gemma can exit, Clem shuts the door, trapping her inside. The gorilla soon attacks Gemma brutally while she screams for help. Clem stands outside, watching silently because Gemma had betrayed her first. Meanwhile, after a lot of effort, Ryan and Stu managed to escape through a tunnel. Once outside, they made their way directly to the seashore. Ryan, exhausted, sat down on the shore. Suddenly, he saw Stu approaching him, holding a large stone. Before he could even react, Stu struck Ryan on the head with the stone, killing him. There was a reason behind this murder. They had stolen a large amount of drugs from the factory, and Stu planned to sell them and keep all the money for himself. From the beginning, he had intended to kill Ryan, showing that everyone here acted purely out of selfish interest. After leaving Ryan's body there, Stu boarded a boat to return to his own city. But suddenly, Clem jumped onto the boat from the water. Stu was shocked to see him. Clem had realized that Stu had killed Ryan, so now Clem's own survival was at risk. At the same time, Clem also understood that Stu could kill him at any moment. Because he had learned everything about Stu, at that moment, their eyes suddenly fell on a gun lying between them. Both of them stared at the gun simultaneously for a while, and then suddenly a loud gunshot rang out. Immediately, the scene shifted to Ryan, where it was revealed that Ryan had not actually died. He was still alive. However, even after everything, a mystery remained. It was never clearly shown who had shot whom on the boat, whether Clem shot Stu or Stu shot Clem. In the end, it was left unclear who survived and whether both of them died. And so, the series ended amidst this deep, unresolved mystery. Yet, ultimately, the terrifying prison met its end, and those who ran it were also destroyed. This prison would likely be banned in the future. So, how did you find today's entire story? Don't forget to let me know in the comments below the video. That's it for today's video. See you in the next new video. Until then, stay safe and healthy. Thank you.